Yeah.
As I can. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Otokaro, ko Opowaho, ko Pūhara Kikinui o Mata Awa, ko Ehu Tai Te Moana, ko Waitai Te Hapori, ki ngā paenga o tātou I mahi nei, ko Pupukato Ingoa, ko o te Marakura o te Wari. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. If you'd like to join me now for the karakia tematanga, the opening karakia. On the other one. All right. Whakataka. Thank you, everybody. Now I have apologies from councillors Barber and Yanni Johansson and I believe Councillor Donovan for lateness. Someone like to move that those apologies be accepted? Moved by Jackie, seconded by Joe. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. All right. Do we have any declarations of interest? No declarations of interest. Move on to confirmation of previous minutes. Moved by Jackie, seconded by Greg. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. All right, thank you. We don't currently have any public forum or deputations by appointment or petitions. We do have correspondence which you will have received as a late item. So the suggestion here, which I support, is that the Waitai Coastal-Burwood-Linwood Community Board refer the issues raised in the correspondence from South Shore Residents Association, New Brighton Residents Association, and Waimairi Beach Residents Association in relation to cycle plan and maintenance along Marine Parade to staff for investigation and response back to the community board. Yeah, happy with that? Well, I hadn't moved it.
I'll move it then.
So you're welcome to move it. And seconded by Greg. All right. Is there any discussion? It just seems like something worth considering.
Yeah, I think the South Brighton end is the major concern, where the road goes onto shingle and potholes, compared to the rest of the road further down where they've actually got room for cyclists to stay on tar seal. So,
cool. Yeah. I'll put that then. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. And the other matter of correspondence will be on the next agenda, and we should have some information about that and the people we have for that to happen.
oh, you got in touch with them?
Cindy did.
Yes. Okay, cool, thank you.
All right, well, now we move on to staff reports. The first one is a proposed road name for the development at 115 Eureka Street. We have Sean here. Oh, and we have Paul Lyon to present. All right, well, if you'd like to present your report, we can take questions after that.
So I presume that it's been read previously. So one road and one private lane that needs a name because of the number of residential units that come off that lane. So the names are Poi Poi Place and Kura Lane. And obviously the detail around that's in the report, but in relation to the Wainani school that was previously on this land and the land next door.
Yep, it's about the size of it.
Yep, it is.
Oh, well, yeah, no argument from me. I'm happy with that, but any questions? Greg and then Joe?
No, I just think it's pretty.
No, he's saying he wants.
Oh, you were saying you want to move it?
I'll let them move it, yes.
Yeah,
That's great.
And I'll second it.
All right, any discussion? No, I'll put that. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against?
No, I'm not against it. It's not related, an unrelated question.
Okay, carried.
Carried, thanks.
Yeah, so you have a unrelated.
Quick question.
Yes.
When you're saying the Kura Lane, there's so many residents up there, how many residents before it gets a name?
You more than 6, your name.
More than 6, you need a name?
Yeah.
So if I was to say,
But there will be existing ones that don't have a name that weren't named in the past, but Lynn's has introduced
so are they going to be named in the future?
possibly. I mean, that's starting to get difficult in getting, because you have to get agreement from the people who are on them.
Is the rule, so is the rule retrospective or?
No, it's moving, yeah.
Okay.
So the existing ones with no name, I don't think there's any compulsion to name those.
Can they apply?
Yeah, I'm sure they could apply if they want, and if they wanted to name it, if they had agreement from the residents on that lane, they
I
would
to
be.
agree with what I want, but you know, they're sort of like inquiring as to whether I'm getting a name for my cul-de-sac, you know.
Simon's Place, is it?
Yeah, pretty good. Actually, I call it the Richardson Rise and, you know, I'm Queen.
But a cul-de-sac's different if it's owned by the owners, eh?
It's a bit
I
late.
mean, under that provision, it would regard, if it was a cul-de-sac, so
Sorry,
When I say cul-de-sac,
roadway, sorry.
a road, a right of way, right of way or private lane, if it's a right of way with a turning head, then, but if it's like a cul-de-sac to me is actually a public road. So,
It's a private. Yeah.
but any private access way.
It's just interesting going forward in case, you know,
Yeah.
people who, like myself, may live in a place with more than 6 residences, they may ask me about that.
So we could like do a street name, thought about last names in one, try and make it like the longest street name in the world.
Not on my anyway.
But
Totally agree with street name.
the risk of having a short agenda is you end up discussing vainglorious projects.
Yeah. Yes, thanks.
Yeah, oh, it's actually been streamed out. So I'd like those words noted down. No, thank you very much. Nothing further.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you making the trip out here.
Oh, no, I live in Estuary. This is my local board, so,
Oh, okay.
which is the reason that I say I'll come down, because.
All right.
Choice. All right, thank you very much.
So you're cool.
Sure.
He's cool. Cool. If he lives out here, it's gonna be cool.
The coolest ward.
So now we have the Alston Community Space at Alston Community Library leased to Town Incorporated. Kathy Jarden is here. And again, you can take the item as read.
Okay, okay.
And have it second, but we'll make sure that, is there anything you'd like to draw our attention to in the?
Sure, yep. One of the youth town managers was down from Auckland last week, so we took her through the community centre again, just to make sure that she had the right feel for the place. We presented her with a list of the current bookings that we have for the year to make sure that those bookings are honoured. They've got a few things that they want to do. I think they're going to focus mainly on Monday to Thursday youth activities because of the Friday market, and then try and work in with the market so that there's no clashes. There's a little room there, so they're going to set that up as like a little lounge gaming room. So that'll probably be out of the regular bookings in the school hours. They're going to bring a pool table in, but we've said to them that the pool table's got to be on wheels and moved out to like the back of the room so that all the other regular users can use it. So they're pretty excited, and getting community space like this is something that they've started to do in Auckland. So they're getting a little bit of experience, and they'll take all the bookings, they'll get the revenue, and they'll work with our library people, our library volunteers, and with all these bookings. And then they'll have a website or some public phone number for bookings to be in. So hopefully it should work good.
I mean, it just, to me, it's really awesome that it will be much better used, and there'll be lots more young people around. You know, and like there's a whole bunch of really cool initiatives around Woolston, and just to have something else there is really cool too.
Yeah.
Just with the current bookings that they will be honouring, will they be honouring those bookings at the city council prices?
Yes.
They will be, so they'll stay the same.
They'll stay the same till December.
Till December. Thank you.
And that's normally when the community hall rates go up. It's the 1st of January because people get their bookings in. The annual plan comes along, increases the fees that they've already booked ahead. So they're honoured at those fees.
It sounds like there's getting the best of both worlds. They're going to be flexible and accommodating with the use of the hall, but it's going to be used most of the time.
And it's the use of that hall and those bookings that will help pay, because they'll be paying 90% of the power, and they'll be paying the cleaning costs and those sorts of things as part of them taking over the hall. So they have to have some earning potential.
Have there been discussions with the community library about it?
We're waiting for this resolution to be passed, and then we'll set up meetings with Youth Town to meet.
But do they know that it's
Library staff. Well, it was all public and they received a copy of the RFP.
okay?
I sent it out to about 53 different groups.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
No.
No. So that's moved by Jackie, seconded by Alex. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. Good evening, Kathy.
So
I too used to live in this ward, but I had to move.
You're welcome back.
So now we have the area report. And the area report includes something that I'd like to talk about, but I'll let you start off, Chris.
Basically happy to take the report as read. So there's good event report backs in there, report back on some of the advice that the board have asked for. But yeah, really happy to take any questions for the chair.
All right, so there is a memo about the role of community board members, elected members, with regard to alcohol licensing. And I just wanted to point out something that isn't said in the memo, and I'll explain why. So what it says is that community boards can participate in the process, and that individual members can be objectors to licenses and may be granted standing. So, but so this is an area that I do work in, helping communities participate in the process. So the decision of whose objections are valid and who's able to appear at a hearing are up to the district licensing committee. However, there is case law that says that local elected members do have standing. There's a reasonably prominent case in case law. So essentially, if my view is, and this is the view that I'll continue to argue for, is that any license, we can object to any license within our board area, because that's not just our ward, but our board area, because we sit on a board that represents the whole area. And I'm about to test this in Christchurch, but just if there is an alcohol license that comes up for renewal, or a new alcohol license that you as an individual member can wish to object to, then you may. Please talk to me about it, because I can help. And yeah, happy to talk offline about this in more detail. I just wanted to let you know that you can do that. And we have some really problematic licenses and lots of problematic locations for licenses in our area.
So is that something that's changed, or something you're saying it should be, because I'm reading about that?
No, so the memo says that that we as individuals can object. What I'm saying is that you have a stronger case than that because you're an elected member. But because of it's a reasonably complicated area of law, what I'm really trying to encourage you to not read this as a limiting, but rather as an enabling thing.
Yeah, but as a board, we don't have a...
As a board, you have a right to, not a right, but the district licensing committee can, under, I forget the section now, but they can hear us in support of the community, but we would need to resolve as a community board to do that. We wouldn't be able to, even though we wouldn't be able to cross-examine or give evidence. Yeah, but as individuals you can, but it's still at the discretion of the district licensing committee.
Right.
So, did anybody want to raise any other issues from the area report or ask?
I just see the thing about the signs at Brooklands, and I thought that's really good to know that they're in. Yeah.
Alex?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the fireworks. Spectacular event. I just want to say a big thank you to staff. I'm not sure if it's Metro or some of our staff that work on it, but I think something to maybe pass on in the future is maybe get a few more wheelie bins or people walk around with some bags of rubbish, because the rubbish was piled up when a huge gust of wind came and all the rubbish went down the street. But apart from that, it was a really, really well run event, I thought. So thanks.
I'm just wondering about the traffic calming measures in Avondale Park. Do we have any, Greg, are you aware of anything further?
I've had a couple of people come to me previously around issues of speeding through there with the information that was provided. It doesn't say what the upper speeds were given as, it only gives you the means and averages and things. So it would be nice to know what the upper limits are, as to whether it needs to be.
So, you know, when they calculate this, what they do is they take off the sort of, I can't remember how much it is, but it's like the top and bottom 10%, so that it doesn't take into account the extremes when they formulate the average, because otherwise, obviously, if you have someone that goes down 200 kilometres an hour, it distorts the average.
Yeah, it would still be interesting to know what those upper levels are and what sort of percentages fit into that. Let's say, because I've had some people concerned about the safety with a lot of school kids walking home and walking around those streets as well, particularly from Chisholmwood.
Yeah, so I think when they get more data back, there'll probably be an opportunity for us to take more action. Right. Anything else from the report that you wish to raise? All right. Well, in that case, move that report be received.
Seconded.
Seconded by Tim. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Against, carried. Well, thank you very much, all the staff, all your work that contributed to all of that. Right now, I think we're on to members' information exchange. Well, we have a bit of time. I'm not suggesting that we should take the next hour and a half to do members' information exchange, but we do have the opportunity to request information and share information. So would anyone like?
Oh, this is just another week bump for the 2 master plan one that I know you're still chasing up. So
yeah, that's underway. Yeah,
Thanks.
we're just waiting for information. And we'll say that Cindy's excellent at following these things up, and if there's delays, it's not because of her, it's because there are variable speeds of response from different parts of council. All right.
Technical.
Pardon?
So that was technical. So I've got a bit of a list.
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm wondering how we go around getting a plan underway for Evans Ave rezone. I think I've brought this up before. Talked to Andrew Rutledge and David Little briefly last term in conversation about what's going to happen with the red zone down by Admiral's Way, Evans Ave. And they said that because this area is quite contentious when it comes to the community wanting dog park here and to retain a dog park here. And there's been a bit of discussion on Facebook about this area as well, and trying to actually come up with a community plan to actually develop the area through there. And they said it would be up to the board to actually lead this process. So I just want to start the ball rolling and get this underway if we can.
So what do you have any advice as to how we would start that? So I talked a bit to Joe about this, and to be honest, I don't know where we would start. So
I think that the best first step would be for us to have a conversation with Dave, staff to staff. We can talk about what the process would be, because again, I don't know how you as a board would deal with that. You need advice first, but we can kick anything off. So we'd need to get some advice from those teams. So that's something that we can definitely do. We can have a conversation with.
So in the little informal conversation that I had with them, they've already said that they haven't really come up with any boom plans for that area, and that if the community would like something in particular, then we actually start rolling. And then I said, well, is there any funding? And they said, well, they can probably organise some sort of funding through red zone funding. So if we can try and get maybe Dave to come and talk to us or get that underway.
Yeah, that would be your first step, because you can find out what's possible from those teams. If there's funding, it might be that they can fund one of the groups to lead some engagement, present it back to them, but ultimately they would be the ones to be leading the delivery of that. So that it needs to be a process that they're happy to follow. So.
There's nothing planned, is there? There's
No.
grants running, but
There was maybe retention ponds or fringe housing or other things that were on the plan, but nothing definite. But if the community want to get involved and put together something, they're actually open to that. So
What street, sorry?
Evans and
Admiral Way.
Yeah, I was out there last weekend, actually.
Yeah. So the Greyhound group actually uses that dog park. And the Cornwall dog park.
If we can get some sort of preliminary advice on this on kind of the possible direction we get.
Yes.
And how we might head in there, and then we can have a longer discussion.
we need to know about retention.
Because there's a lot of interest in what's happening with the Rice Garden area adjacent to this.
Yep.
So
Well, we can add
trying
Rice
to come
Garden.
up with a plan that kind of does that whole area.
Between the bridges.
So we can resolve to get advice about how to best progress community aspirations for Evans, Red Zone and Blythe Garden.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Or the area between the two bridges probably be best. That's rezoned,
Area between the two bridges.
which could be just that area. I'm not
They
sure.
have a South Brighton reserve management plan in place for kind of Rice Garden down.
Yeah, so it is.
So there is a plan for that, but
Oh, yeah,
there's
because
nothing,
it's part of,
there's nothing
yeah,
from there on.
you see, you're right.
So between Else Terrace and that area, there's no plan in place.
Yeah, so I think the Evans Red Zone and Blythe Garden covers it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Would you like to move that?
We don't
Yes,
need a formal
we don't
resolution,
need
we
it.
just need majority
Oh,
board.
okay, so does everyone support that?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Also, South Shore Residents Association, I went to their meeting the other day and they're having the Matariki event on the 16th at 4 p.m. at Clover Street. And it's usually a really good event to go to, so I encourage you all to go along to it. And they have a soup and sausage chisel and everything for golf coin donations, so a bit of music.
What was the date of that event, sorry, Joe?
16th.
Saturday.
Should be all about animals.
Yeah. And also there's been an issue with the flooding on Rocking Horse Road. At the beginning of Rocking Horse Road and also further down towards Turn Street. And I've actually been dealing with Colin from the drainage about this and the actual duckbills and trying to find a resolution to actually try and improve the outlet of water. Even on very, very low tide, the water after the rain the other day was just coming out at quite a slow pace. And some residents went over and they opened the duckbills a little bit wider and the water just gushed out. So it was just not releasing it fast enough. So
Was this a problem with the hinge or something?
I don't know if you know what the duckbills look like. They're like they're rubber and going around. So they don't let water come in. And when the water bottom gets
Pressure
much,
opens up.
the pressure opens it, but it's
The
not opening
sediment
it
and the
enough.
sand is built up so much that it can't. open.
Well,
So I
it
think
had no sand on it the other
no sand
day.
out of there.
It was quite free and the water was coming out, but it wasn't coming out quick enough to actually drain the road. And the flooding was right across the road again. So
From memory, there were,
People's cars were parked in big puddles, so
But you're talking to drainage about it.
I've been talking to them about it, so just, you know, that
Yeah.
I'm on the
I'm sure about 5 years
case, they're
ago,
on the case.
there were new design while I was on the board last time, it's about 5 years ago.
Come through the chair just to, because Joe was talking and then I asked a question and then
Yeah.
you interrupted partway through.
And they also brought up about the PC 14 being changed with the letter I sent through the other day requesting more basic information for everybody and layman's terms, because they've already put submission into the original one and they're getting to redo it. But from a post I put on Facebook on the People's Republic page just about does anyone understand this and did you receive this letter? And there's a lot of confusion and they don't understand what's going on. So I think just to make it so that they understand what's happening, it would be really beneficial.
It was not the greatest piece of council communication that I've seen. And I think, you know, to people who've been around council for a while find it confusing, then there's not much hope that, you know, general lay people are going to find it clear. I mean, the response we got back from the planning staff was pretty good at recognising that it wasn't clear. So I just wonder what the filtering process when they send out comms like that.
Yeah, I think they did quite a good job of trying to describe it, but there's so many questions arising from it and so much confusion out there for the people that we actually need to try and explain it to them so they understand what's happening with the properties, because they're all like, this is another kick in the guts, this is them trying to write us off, blah, 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 but there's more to it and more behind it and trying to actually how it's going to affect their properties and everything as well.
Yeah, I mean, it would be irresponsible to act as though there was no tsunami risk and we didn't need to adapt.
Well, there's very little tsunami risk in reality, but you say never.
Well, I guess it's the thing is that while the risk is low,
Yeah.
the impact of if it did happen is massive.
Yeah.
And which is why we need to prepare, you know, like it's still much more likely than an aeroplane going down on.
But out of all of the natural hazards and disaster, that's probably the one we've got to worry about the least.
Volcano.
Well, could be. But, you know, it's the understanding was, yeah, we could be prone to that, but at what level, how's it going to affect us and everything? So I think we need to actually, like I suggested, maybe a drop-in or a community meeting or two, just to answer people's questions.
Well, I mean, we may have, and this may be remiss, but we may have received a memo about this, but I don't recall one. Do you, staff, have we received anything?
Yeah, I remember.
I would like some clarification, and by that I really mean and I want an FAQ that we can give people who are worried about this.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a planner, and I can't easily address all of those questions. So.
Yeah, well, I went and met someone the other day and they were hoping to develop their section penny plans because of what's going on around New Brighton. And they want to know, well, how does this affect us? And it's not really described or spelled out, or if it is, it's in amongst a whole lot of stuff that is too technical for them to understand. So making it so people do understand it.
We can request some general FAQs, but as well, the contact details are on those letters. So if you get individuals come to you with concerns, get them to get in touch with that.
Yeah, they've been in touch with me.
Yeah.
They have been in touch and they're still in a so
We need some New Brighton specific, or that coastal specific coastlines.
because that letter also, there was a lot of people that didn't receive the letter, and a lot along Marine Parade didn't receive them. And I'm just wondering who actually got the letter, how many households, and why people didn't, and why, even though there probably could be more prone.
I'm a part of an organisation that regularly sends letters to people, and you that the person has been sent a letter, and for whatever reason they don't receive it, and that's not because the letter hasn't been put in their letterbox. It could be that the letter's been subsequently taken out of the letterbox. It could be that it's lost in a big pile of things. Going back to the kind of what we've all agreed with, I think if we can get a list of coastal FAQs so that we can address these kinds of questions, and we can feed into that. I mean, Joe's already asked a bunch of questions.
Are you asking that we produce those questions?
I think if members have any questions that they think need to be included, so not really down in the weeds questions, but quite big picture ones that are relevant to like the whole area,
Yeah,
or
totally, yeah.
big parts of the area.
Do you think it's worth us having a briefing?
It could be. We don't, at this point, I don't feel like I'm in a position to say whether it would be better to just have the response to the questions or not. You know what I mean? Like briefings take quite a lot of organisation and time, and sometimes we just want the information. But if we get answers to the information and that's not adequate, then we might be able to have a briefing.
But also with submissions open, what he will say to actually feed back into this, being given a deadline.
Yeah, I was just going to double check that.
It's really, really difficult because people don't know how to respond and don't have the answers to actually put feedback into a submission, which greatly affects them or their ability to actually build or do renovations on their properties, etc.
What's the date for submissions again?
17th of July,
Okay, so
Next week.
Monday.
Just say, is it all right for me to say something about that?
yeah, sure. If you're welcome to join us.
But just to make it clear that the first round of submissions on DC 14 is closed.
Yeah.
And this is
Follow-up.
submissions, further submissions. So it's submissions on submissions that have already been made. So that might shrink down. So it'd be difficult for somebody to make a submission unless they go through the submissions that have already been made to find something that they want to add further comment to.
And this is going to a commissioner, isn't it?
There's an independent panel.
Yeah. So I think that if we have some serious questions that need addressing about the plan change, and Joe's previously given her anticipated apologies for this phone call on her. This is a hospital and needs to be picked up. So she's just arranging that. We could, if we felt we needed to, seek leave from the panel to make a late submission, and for their, at least so that they have the concerns from us. But I don't feel I have the information needed to do that. So if we can get that information this week, we can only try.
All right. So let's be proactive and completely inappropriate for a board meeting. I'll email staff as we speak. Tell me what you want, and then we might get a response before the long meeting.
We'll incorporate those questions that Joe sent. And do we have any subsequent? I guess the general thing is do we know who was sent the letter, and how is it going to impact people just as distinct from how they were told initially, and what is the council proposing for this area that is different from, that's different from what
The existing.
the operative district plan. So yeah, just to make really clear what the difference between the operative district plan and what is now, after the era correction, what is now being proposed. So what is, if the hearings panel upholds the council's plan change, what is going to happen in what area, with particular focus on the coastal
And floodplain areas.
and floodplain areas.
Okay, so does that read okay to you?
And that's the third one. Can you spell out?
Just ask a question who's doing that.
Can
Does anyone know,
spell out
anyone here know in the floodplain area,
the difference
are you allowed to subdivide?
between
Are you allowed to add on to your house?
the operative district?
Would you make that question? We come to you.
So you mean like in a high flood management zone?
Yeah, the floodplain areas, because when I was in the port last time, the answer was no, you can't. But I wonder, has it changed? I don't know. I could find out, but I just wonder if anyone knows.
I can only speak to one property they looked at. And I met with planning staff last week, and I said in this example where there is a high flood management zone, the answer was if you wanted to, you would need resource consent, and there would be a lot more restrictions. So it's hard. So I think that was the answer I got.
Yeah, will become difficult in snow and the high.
So how did the high rises get done?
Because that was
How were they granted resource consent?
because that's the gap in the timing that happened before. There was
Planning was done beforehand.
this has happened subsequent, so there's been a time change. in the rules.
Which means what was there 5 years ago changed as well. Because they wouldn't have been up there 5 years ago.
True, yeah, that's right, isn't it? I think
There's been medium density zoning on for quite a long time.
it was some of the other areas, I think. But yeah, in terms of the 3x3, that was the recent change, but you're right, along the water, you can always go and higher, I think.
If it wasn't in the floodplain.
Yeah, which it's not primarily. So
Right.
it is get quite confusing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, we need this
I'll forward this.
Simple
I'll
language.
ask for some, if there's out, I'll forward it to
Right.
specific this last week.
All right, we'll move on for that. I think we've covered that. I wanted to raise something before I forget, which is, and I've raised this with, I have raised this with Lynn McClelland, who was acting for CE the other day, but I have noticed around Linwood, and I'm sure it's happening elsewhere, there are a number of, the road is starting to go in places like this, and it's like it's caving in. So and it's happening in quite a lot of places. And it's not something that, it's not like a normal pothole situation where they kind of just come out of nowhere. And it does seem that there is something, I don't know, maybe it's that. Yeah.
Usually it's something to do with the wastewater, maybe.
Yeah. So I just if you notice that, if you could bring that to my attention, just so I can say it's happening here too. And the other is like, I wanted to note that the Cumnor Terrace Radley Street intersection, which was kind of had patch repaired, and has been noted by staff that's far too big for its job, and it's just floods all the time. It's really badly flooded right now. It needs some attention. So I just want to know if that's in the plan at all to do, if it's in the long-term plan. It's certainly traffic engineers think that it needs to change. There was nothing, no money in the don't think there is any money in the long-term plan. Is everybody all right if we ask for more information about that?
Yes.
Cool.
Just to clarify, is the Cumnor Redlands?
Coming around in Redlands.
Okay.
Joe, you had some?
Yeah, I sent an email about the Shore Ave toilet blocks and how it's kind of in no means land. And even last term, we brought this up at the start of the term, when we had a briefing and say, well, who's responsible for the maintenance and upkeep of that toilet block in the grassed area outside it and everything? And Parks did not have it and someone else did not have it. It's like, well, whose is it? And it had fallen into a little bit of a hazy area. So if we can actually follow through on who that falls into.
It's done.
It's done, excellent.
So the advice I received back was that they were going to go for a visit, they're going to look at it, they're going to tidy it up and then get it on a regular schedule. Once they've done that, I've asked them to get back to me, so I know that A, it's been cleaned and tidied, and B, what the schedule looks like, because I know that's going to be a follow-up question. So if I can get that, then I was going to update the whole board just to let you know. So it's following your email or emails, I've sent that through to staff. So as and when it's locked into a schedule and it's been tidied up, I'll let you know.
Just the other thing that I've been following through on is the toilet block and graffiti domain on Shore Ave as well. And we've been having issues there again with people staying in cubicles and drug use and sex and all that in those cubicles.
Needs to be reported, but
so I've reported that and followed through, and they're going to look at doing the locking and opening schedule again to hopefully help that out. Yeah.
Thanks, Joe. Any comments? Celeste?
Apologies for letting us sit at the meeting of council. The two that I want to bring up was the Hawke Street Marine Parade intersection. The reason I think that's been a wee bit of a safety concern for a while, but we've got a lot of people crossing that road all the time, pedestrians who are going to the hot pools and other things, and in particular a resident like this, but she lives right on the corner and she's in her 80s, and cyclists come along the Marine Parade from the south and then turn onto the footpath, and there isn't really a way for them to go because there's a build out there, the garden, so they kind of come onto the footpath. And then they obviously come run into the countdown. So she just wants to find out on I'd be parking as board was support for us and get a bit of information about whether we can do a minor safety upgrade of that. So just looking at how we can improve safety for everybody, because we know that that's a busy intersection.
That was actually part of our craft area, and we asked for improvements for pedestrians and everything as part of the craft.
So is that, can we check that as part of this request, whether it's definitely.
Yeah, because we wanted the pedestrian crossings for the hot pools and also across Hawke Street for people crossing to go to the supermarket and everything as well.
And it would be good to check if it extends right across. Does it go right across Hawke Street? It does.
It should. That's what we requested.
Across Hawke Street though?
Because I thought it might have started
from Hawke Street out, not this side of Hawke Street.
That was Marine Parade. But we asked for the actual pedestrian crossing on Hawke Street to be included in the craft, because that's one of the nasty places where they took away the pedestrian median, and now it's really, really dangerous for pedestrians.
So would it be a question of just checking whether that's included in the craft, and also the bits around people coming around on bikes?
Well, we can find out.
Yeah. Is that something?
I can just have an email about the craft question, but the actual concerns have been raised. So I'll check the craft stuff only.
The concerns are in the system. The subsequent, the additional stuff we can.
Perfect. Yeah. And then the other, I just had a question around the engagement stuff with the long-term planning. Is that, when do we?
We got some stuff at the end of last week.
Yeah.
So that we can access and click the sliders and stuff.
Yeah.
So I got the social media tiles if you want them.
Oh, you did? Okay, great. Do we have a sort of a briefing or anything around the plans? I know there's information being sent to us, but
we're not at the point where we've been briefed, because we just pre-engaging the community. So we've been told about the engagement, and now we can we can discuss as a board how we might do some of that engagement. We can't talk about it in any detail now because we don't have much information, but I'd be keen to use some of the Better Off funding for doing more in-depth engagement with our community, because as I think we all agree that the way that council does engagement isn't suitable to all people, and there are particular demographics in our community that would be good to engage with.
And I would support that. I had a couple of requests today I met with a couple of residents, one person from Sustain and someone else, and we were talking about how we can support better engagement, and one of the suggestions is around better youth engagement, and we can do some work on that. So perhaps we can just put that as an action for a further conversation.
Speaking of which, I am having a meeting to which if I've invited people I know are interested, but any other members who want to come, please let me know so we can get a bigger room. On the 26th, having a meeting with Rory and Emily about the youth, about the potential for a youth board. So gave some parameters, and they've gone away and had a bit of a brainstorm. So yeah, I know you're interested, which is why you're invited.
Thank you. I've just accepted.
And Jackie's accepted it, and Alex has probably accepted it. Those are the people who I knew were interested, but anybody else?
Sorry, when is it?
26th of July at 10 a.m. at the Wilson Community Library, but the room wouldn't fit the whole board in it. But we can move it, don't worry. Jackie, did you? Oh no, that was just about that.
Saying I've just accepted the invitation.
Okay, well, you can come then. Any other items for members' information exchange? Greg?
Yes, a couple of things just with the roadworks. I'm not sure if we mentioned last time from Preston's Park Drive. They started, they're upgrading the pipeworks, drainage. Kelly's been meeting with the staff doing the work and sharing information, which is good.
I did mention it last time.
Good, excellent, short memory. And today the works on Build Road by Rosso Road started as well. So driving through them today, and we are doing stuff rather than just outcomes. So action's happening. On the 7th of September at 5:30, there is a community meeting at Chisholm Intermediate. That is around the reduction of the roll for the school there. I know the board's supported that previously, including a letter to the minister.
When's the meeting?
The 7th of September at 5:30 p.m. So they're encouraging as many people as possible to come along. Based on the open night the other week, they've had a huge turnout for a lot of people wanting to go to that school. It's a great school. My kids go there at the moment, or one of my kids goes there at the moment. And yeah, it's highly populated because it does so well and gives so many opportunities. So definitely encourage everyone to get along and support that and be a part of that.
Thanks.
Sorry, I just saw a post on Facebook from there about the rubbish dumping in the red zone, and they're having a real issue around Walker area again. And this has been brought up before several times in the past with the red zone group, the old one, and also at board about ways to try and combat dumping. And they were looking at signage, they brought the fences in further and looking at other possibilities, but it has been investigated. And I think probably one of the next things they'll probably look at would be even closing off one of the roads. So, yeah, I think just to follow through.
Yeah, I was talking with staff before about that as well.
Yeah.
So,
there have been a lot of things that have been tried in the last two, but what the answer is, who knows? Yeah.
main spots on the overnight.
It was really cool. I was talking to residents on Waitai Street, not Waitai, that's in Hornby, on Waitai Street in Linwood. I've got a running joke with a friend of mine who grew up around Waitai Ave, which is why it's in my head. Waitai Street, I was doing some door knocking on Wine Street. It's great to be able to tell people that the street's being renewed, and you can, when you're walking down Wine Street, gee, you can tell it really does need renewing. So it's awesome that we have all these positive things, and people seem pretty happy about the bus stops too. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. Anyone else have any items for members' information exchange?
Trying to get us to 574.
No, I'm not. I'm just,
More.
I'm just aware that we often don't have that much time. And I can go to 5:30 if you're seeing that as a target.
I'll just bring up about the Banks Peninsula Coastal Hazards Panel. Since our last meeting, we've actually had 2 other meetings, and each one has been focusing on a certain area, which will probably be what happens here. And the first meeting we had was on the Teddington area, and the next one was the Port Levy area. So we're more or less honing in on actual ways that we can actually progress adaptation, mainly on the roading, entrances and exits into those areas. So that's progressing quite well, but it's really full on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I personally, I would like us to be next if we can be next. The coastal area, we can be next in that process, but we don't get to decide that.
No, we don't get to decide, but apparently they've got lots of people lining up to putting their hands up to be next on the list. But
so I have wondered about us requesting formally by writing. Staff are like, no.
Oh, like, surely it's this.
Yeah, should
well,
be.
the longer it would be really good, because in reality, the people that get invest are going to get first dibs on funding to the LTPs, whereas if it's left, we're going to be begging for more money.
Just a question, Joe, do you know when they're likely to move to the next area? I'm sure I'll find out at some point.
Well, this tranche is not meant to finish until probably February, March.
Next year,
Yeah,
and they'll start the next lot.
then they'll go on to the next lot. That's if they are running to time.
Yeah.
And it has taken well over a year, or nearly a year so far. So it's a very long process, and lots of kind of, I suppose, commitment from residents that are involved in the process.
So I would like, if I can get an agreement from you to write on behalf of the board to formally request that we be next in that process. I'm happy to circulate a draft, because I think obviously, Joe, you've been involved in the process, so around language and things, but just really to say that we're up for having those conversations. We think that the community will be up for it.
Yeah, the way I see it, I don't think it should be just coastal as a whole. It should be broken down into areas within the coastal ward, so we can focus on the north and the south separately instead of lumping them all together. I'm feeling, being an outsider from the Banks Peninsula ward, that I feel like I shouldn't be involved in their communities, if you know what I mean. Even though I'm probably giving them some good input from the experience we've got about the sea level rise and the things that we've done over here in the past, that their communities and the way their communities work is much different from how ours work. And it's the same with Brooklands from South Shore, the different ways that they work, different problems that they've got. So trying to break it down if we can, that would be the most ideal way to go ahead and proceed.
Yeah, I guess that it seems to be inherent in that process by you know, because they said whakaropo, right? I said so, and then it's been broken down into bits. So
I think they're trying to get Akaroa next, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Last time I heard it was Brooklands, but things would have changed since then. Maybe they've changed
They
that.
probably have decided.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll make a request. So you're all happy with that? Cool. All right, now, it's approaching 5:30. Any further items? All right, in that case, we will close the meeting.
No, karakia.
Yeah. Karakia. Thank you, everybody.
That was nearly as quick as the preaching, Jackie, that you did.